Parshas Haazinu. This week's Parsha, in general, is not as accessible as last week's Nitzav Vayelech, which were pretty straightforward. This one has some difficult concepts, but more challenging is just understanding the words and the phrases. This is because Haazinu was written in a poetic form. So in Perek Lamed Beis, Pasuk Zayin, that's 32:7, the Torah says as follows: Zachor Yemos Olam, Binu Shnos Dor Vador, Sha'al Avicha V'Yagedcha, Zikenecha V'Yomulach. Translated, this means, remember the days of old, consider the years of many generations, ask your father and he will show you, your elders and they will tell you. This sounds like a general piece of advice about listening to the people who came before you. What's the context? Why does it come here? Well, let's look at the previous verse. Previous pasuk, that would be pasuk vav, that's 6, reads as follows: Hal Hashem tigmulu zos. Is this how you repay God? Am naval v'lo chacham, a foolish people and unwise. Halohu avicha konecha. Is he not your father who has bought you? Konecha. Hu ascha. He made you. Vayachoneneka. And he established you. That is a little perplexing. What does it mean? He has bought you. He's established you. So Rashi actually connects these two verses. The question of Hal Hashem tigmulu zos, is this the way you treat God, means after all the things that Hashem has done for you, this is Moshe speaking on the last day of his life to his tribes, to the Jewish people, to the Bnei Yisrael. He's saying you guys have not acted well. You haven't acted properly, especially in light of how Hashem has graced you with all manner of good. And so he says, you're foolish. You're foolish. Am naval v'lo chacham. You're foolish. You're not wise. Hashem has a special status, and he has demonstrated that. Well, what has he demonstrated? He is avicha, that is karachim of albanim. He looks out for us as a compassionate father, has mercy on his children. Konecha. Now, we translate it as bought you. That's kind of a filler until we figure out exactly what it means. And Rashi explains, konecha means, Rashi actually gives 3 explanations. Shekna acha, he acquired you. The Meforshei Rashi, the commentaries on Rashi say that Rashi means that when he took the children of Israel out of Egypt, that gave God the right of ownership over us. Okay? And then we have Konecha shekincha b'kan haslaim uve'eretz chazaka, that he nested you like kan tzipor, the nest of a bird. He nested you in the rocks and in a tough land, protected you. And lastly, shetikancha b'chol minei takana, and he set you up with all kinds of things. And again, the commentaries say, number one, there is some ownership. We're going to go beyond that in a minute when we put all 3 of these together. There's an ownership that's implied. There is a protection that's implied. God protects and cares for us. And lastly, that he sets us up. How? So the commentaries of Rashi also say, and Rashi refers to this later on, by Choneneka, that he established us with Kohanim, Nevi'im, and Melachim, with priests, with prophets, and with kings. In other words, he structured our civil society. So Kadosh Baruch Hu has this relationship with us in which he takes care of us. And we explained a while ago that the word koneh does imply ownership, but it can also imply fashioning or making, as Rashi and elsewhere in Chumash says, koneh shamayim va'aretz is like oseh shamayim va'aretz, that koneh, this word of acquisition, if you will, or ownership, is similar to oseh shamayim va'aretz, who makes the heavens and the earth, or who made. Exactly what part of that is similar? Well, it appears that there is some relationship between koneh and oseh, that by making you acquire. So Hashem acquires us. How does that manifest? It manifests itself the way people take care of their prized possessions. If I own something, or if I have a relationship of consideration, then I take care of it. And Rashi goes on to explain that that's in b'chol minei, in all kinds of ways of structuring our society. And in a word, the Malbim calls this hashgacha pratis, which is divine providence. In other words, that Hashem, avicha kanecha, means that Hashem is your father who watches over you and takes care of you. The next verse, which tells us to consult our parents, is likely the antidote to the foolishness of the previous generation. In other words, Zechor Yemos Olam, as an antidote to your foolishness, as an antidote to your not being wise, have a sense of history. Acquire a historical perspective. Zechor Yemos Olam, remember the days of old. Binu Shnos Dor Vador, contemplate what happens from generation to generation, the years, the passing of years from generation to generation. What happened? So Rashi says, Zechor Yemos Olam, remember the days of old. Ma asab arishonim shechisu lefanav. Remember what he did to the earlier ones before you, who provoked him. There was, contemplate the passage of generations. Dor enosh, seitzif alehim okyanos. Dor hamabul, sheshtafan. There's the generations that caused, if you will, a response, a reaction, a negative reaction from the Almighty. The flood, you could say the Dor HaFlaga, the generation of the dispersion. You could add others. You could say Sodom, say all kinds of things in which the Almighty takes actions to either punish or correct that which the people have done. So Zechor Yemos Olam, as an antidote to being unappreciative of not remembering that Hashem is our Father, it's Zechor Yemos Olam, Binu Shnos Dor Vador, remember the old days. Sha'al avicha v'yagedcha, and if you don't know, ask your father. In other words, those who were there before you, they'll tell you. Zikeinecha v'yomer lach, your elders, wise people, they'll tell you. If you seek advice from them, that will keep you on the correct path, so that you will not be naval, so that you will not be lo chacham, that you won't be foolish or unwise, and you'll be mindful of the role that the Almighty plays in your life, in our lives. I'm just saying this parenthetically. We just went through a day, on the day that I'm recording this, where Iran sent 180 or more ballistic missiles towards Israel, and not a single Jew was touched. That is remarkable. That is Yemos Olam. Not today, it's present history, but this is miraculous, and it's historic. And it's something we need to be able to communicate to our children and to our grandchildren and to their descendants about the pachad, the fear that we had. I was on the phone with my children in Israel while they were in their safe rooms. 10 minutes later, all clear. Unbelievable. And then we have an obligation to give Hakar Satov, to express our thanks. Now, there's another implication of this language of kana echa, and that is, we see this language in another place where it doesn't seem to be appropriate, and that's the Mishnah in Pirkei Avos, in Perek Aleph, Mishnah Vav, in the Ethics of Our Fathers, first chapter, 6th Mishnah, where it says, Aseh lecha rav, kanei lecha chaver. Make a mentor for yourself, a rabbi, a teacher for yourself, and acquire a friend. Kanei lecha chaver, acquire a friend. And the commentary, specifically the Yein Levanon, says, wait a second, this cannot be talking about a monetary transaction. In other words, pay somebody to be your friend. Because first of all, that would be an ahava hatluya b'davar. That would be a love that is dependent on something. Payment. You stop to pay, got to pay to play. No pay, no friend. It can't mean that. So what does it mean? So we explained that to be kone, to acquire, means to take responsibility. It means to care for. It means to protect, to watch out for. If you'd like to develop a relationship with somebody, watch out for them. Do something nice for them. Do many things nice for them. Show them that you care. You will create a mutual relationship. Some suggest that the word for love, and also like in Hebrew, ahava, comes from yahav, which is to give. In other words, if you give to someone, some say that giving is not necessarily a reflection of love. It can be, but can also be a generator of love when you give to someone. So what the Mishnah is saying is, invest in a chaver, invest in a friend. And it doesn't just mean one friend. It means be part of a society, be part of a chabura, of a group of people who are mutually supportive. A rav serves one function. It could be a teacher, can be a decider of law, a posek. He can give eitzah, he can give advice. A chaver fills a different role. Chaver is somebody who you could learn with, who you could discuss issues with, who you could relax with. But the point is that you curate your society so that they will, and you will, together grow and accomplish your goals. And this is the investment that comes from kinei l'cha chaver. And this is based on the principle that kinyan means not just a simple monetary or commercial act of acquisition, but it implies a relationship of responsibility. HaKadosh Baruch Hu has the ultimate responsibility. He's responsible for the world, and he's responsible for us, and he acts on that responsibility. And what he's looking for is a recognition of that and a mutuality. We are about to enter a new year and Rosh Hashana, in which we declare the Almighty's kingship and his position as Melech Olam, as the king of the world. And part of that is that a king takes care of his subjects. And it is part of our cultivating the mutual relationship to be mindful of that, to be an Am Chacham, to be a wise people. Have a good Shabbos, and have a happy and healthy new year. Ksiva v'chasima tova, may you be written and sealed in the book of life and all manner of good.